Hey guys, Nick here, and today we will be getting in to part 12 of What If Madison's Family Joined Rick. We are now on the part where Morgan becomes a part of the story, and we will see with Madison's family, or at least part of it, how they will react to Morgan's craziness after figuring out who he is, Rick wanting to spare him, and all that. Let's get into it. Now, people like Shane, Strand, Daniel, people like that, obviously after the whole thing, kind of just want to kill him, but they can't. As much as they demonstrated that they can prove authority over the group in some aspects, others in certain situations like Daniel deem the situation not worthy enough. Because Rick stating that he saved Rick's life at the beginning, if he weren't to have done that, they would have never met Madison's family, and it could have ended badly. Morgan, they all pretty much owe him. So ultimately, it is agreed they wait for him to wake up before figuring anything else out. Carl, of course, wants to go and get the crib for Judith and go and see the place that he did, except Michonne isn't here, so he is going to have extra backup or people guiding him instead of Michonne. And this comes in the form of Carol, Sophia, and Lori, who him and Sophia are in a little relationship. It's a little kid love, but still. Anyways, aside from that, Morgan finally wakes up, and it goes about as well as you might assume. With far more people around Morgan this time, it isn't just Rick getting to fight, and Rick's not going to get stabbed here because there are way more people around him. There's no way that he's going to get stabbed, unless Morgan was like John Wick or something, but that's Daniel. Let's be real here. Anyway, side notes. But then we get into Morgan talking to Rick and everything, and Morgan being apprehended, and then Morgan explaining what's happened and yelling at Rick about the radio and pretty much everything that happened before, except he would feel more apprehensive with many more people around him. But he would still talk to Rick nonetheless because I feel that Rick would ask to just talk to Morgan alone or something. But anyways, Morgan would then go on to explain what happened with Jenny, Duane, pretty much everything that happened before. Here's a big difference that's going to really shape the story. When Morgan says, "Everything I see is red and I do it," let's talk about that for a second. We all know that when he said this, it was possible that Duane was still alive. We clung to that for so long, and then he just ended up getting killed in Fear the Walking Dead. But this little line that Morgan said, "Everything I see is red and I do it," only implied that he killed Jenny, not Duane. It was speculated that maybe he killed Duane too, or left him as a walker, but it never really was confirmed. But it was confirmed he was bit. So yeah. In this aspect, Daniel is able to catch on to this, because it's not just Rick there, and yeah, there are way more people around to suspect that Morgan might be hiding something. And Daniel is the first one to pick this up and tells Rick that he doesn't think Morgan's telling him the whole truth. Says that thinks he's hiding something, just like Strand was. Rick says to ask what he means, and that Strand isn't the same guy. Strand agrees with this, but he to himself agrees that just like the governor, whom he wasn't really around to help Shane in that regard, knows that Morgan has to be hiding something. It's implied that he killed Jenny, his wife, but what happened with Duane? One of two things is right now happening. He's either lying about Duane's death and he could be around here somewhere waiting to attack, or he was actually bit and is still around as a walker somewhere in this apartment. You could come over and bite them all or something. Morgan, taking this all in and listening to them rant about him, possibly lying, doesn't sit too well with the all I see is red, clear Morgan. And he's thinking about just killing them all at this point, because we all know how Morgan was, and he doesn't like the fact that people think he's lying, and that Rick might agree with them. Then Shane speaks up and says that if Morgan really is lying, they should go to King County and maybe inspect the house that they were living at, because if Duane as a walker or alive was around here, wouldn't they have seen him? Especially with all the traps around. They should probably go to King County and inspect, just in case it is a trap or whatever the case may be. Madison says that they really shouldn't do that, and it really shouldn't be necessary. Because even though Morgan, yes, he did attack them, and yes, he seems crazy, but there's a great reason why, and he's demonstrated it. Doing this all now is going to make him think that they're all thinking he's lying or something. It's just not right. Travis, for a great long time of not speaking out or getting anything, speaks out and agrees with Madison and says that, honestly, they should just leave this alone. They don't think that Morgan's hiding anything. And Rick smiles, thinking to himself that at least some people around here actually agree with him and aren't going to make Morgan any more depressed or angry than he already is. But this doesn't go so well, because even though Daniel's really kind of at a standstill about this, Strand and Shane pretty much pluck up his courage to help speak out with the two of them, that if they don't expect this in some way, whether Duane is alive or not, and he's in the same state of mind, it could mean that they're all in danger. They have to check this out. And even if he is a walker, it's still a threat, especially if he's around here. They need to inspect this and make sure that everything's on the up and up to see if Morgan really isn't crazy. Madison, she really is just tired of fighting everybody at this point, because this is just a replication of the farm all over again. Except in that regard, it all happened so fast that nobody got a chance to say anything. This time, they actually tried to fight, and it's just not any kind of use. So eventually, Madison just sighs and says, alright, there's no use fighting with them anymore. If they really have to check this out and go to King County and check out that place where Morgan used to live, then ultimately there's no point in not going, because they're just going to keep persisting. And Rick sighs as well, agreeing that this is just a stupid idea and they should just believe Morgan. But it's no use arguing. And he does kind of agree. They have a little bit of a point. But he really doesn't want to make Morgan think that they're all against him or something, but they really don't have a choice now, do they? So he agrees that he'll go check the place out and see what's going on. And says for everyone to stay here with Morgan to make sure he doesn't get all crazy and everything else. Shane agrees to go with him because it's safety in numbers, really. And considering last time Rick was in Atlanta, he got shot, and that all happened and he almost died, it's probably not the best decision for him to be going off alone. So Shane will accompany him and make sure that everything's good, especially if Duane is out there, and it's just a better idea. While Lori, Carl, Sophia, and Carol are all doing their things still, the only ones left around Morgan are Travis, Daniel, Strand, and Madison, all there to guard Morgan, to make sure he doesn't break out or try and kill them, or pretty much just make sure that he's safe. Strand then confronts Madison and has one of the talks that they had in Season 3, which we we'll get now, because obviously it's not happening in the context of which it did in the original, because they're not in the place they were in the original. And Strand says that even though that Rick is agreeing with the idea, and Madison is reluctantly, that Morgan should not be allowed to just sit here, and that he could be a threat too. But Madison says that she thinks they've done enough, and Rick is right in this aspect. They might be right on the fact to check King County and everything else, but she thinks that Rick is right on the fact that Morgan should just be left alone. He's apprehended, and if they should do anything to him, it's at least try and make sure he's telling the truth. See if he's actually being, sane. Madison then goes on to talk to Morgan, because she was good at talking to people, She was a teacher and the principal. Now, Madison tries to talk to Morgan and see if he's really telling the truth, and just see that he's not going to hurt any of them. Morgan says that he honestly doesn't care about hurting any of them at this point, because it seems that everyone here is against him. He just explained this whole sob story, and everyone doesn't believe him. Thinks he's lying. And it's really making him angry, and says for him to be left alone, because if one of them tries to talk to him again, he will not hesitate to kill every single one of them, and says that he has to clear. And at this point, Madison knows that whatever part of her that felt that Morgan could be reasoned with, let's just throw that out the window, because Morgan at this point is too far gone. Now, we cut to Rick and Shane going to King County and finding Morgan's house, similar to how it looked in Fear, except way less overgrown and decayed, because we are way earlier in the timeline getting back to Morgan's house. Now, do you think Duane will be a walker or alive here? Or do you think that Morgan's telling the truth and nothing will come of this? And that's where we leave things for the moment. Hope you guys like this aspect of how Morgan's brought into the Season 3 mix, and more of Fear and later stuff that I never really touched before getting involved. What do you guys think is going to come of this? Do you think that Morgan's actually telling the truth? Or do you think that Duane's actually alive or a walker, and this could prove even more trouble than it's worth for Rick and Madison and everybody else? What about future parts in the story? Well, all answers will be revealed later on in future parts. Hope you guys enjoyed this part and the series so far. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Leave a comment, and I'll see you guys next time.